Hello, and welcome back to Forward Progress. Coming to you again today from my front yard. It's just absolutely beautiful today. You can see the trees behind me swaying in the wind. Hard not to want to be outside today. Hopefully the audio works and you don't have any issues on your end as I share this message with you, because today I'd like to talk about goals. It's something that unfortunately most high schools don't teach. You know, there's a rare class where they actually teach you how to properly think about and chronicle your goals in life. And very often in college, there's only a few select classes that truly talk about how to set goals, how to reevaluate goals and move forward. Those of you that have been through some of my leadership classes, you probably have learned something similar to this. And these are my thoughts and views on a lot of the things I've learned about goals and what I've seen actually work for me, and hopefully will work for you as well. When you think about goals, all of us have them. Whether or not we're consciously aware of what those goals are, that's a different story, because we have mental goals that we create for ourselves. And that goal could be, I need to make a certain amount of money. I'd like to buy a car this year. I want to buy a house at some point in time. We make these goals. And I call them goals very loosely in this example, because in reality, we're just thinking of hopes, dreams, something we'd like to accomplish, but I wouldn't really count it as a goal yet. And there's a reason. Because when it's not on paper, your likelihood of it actually happening, slim and none. If you don't write it down, if you don't keep it in the front of your mind, if it's not something that you're driven to do and accomplish and move towards every single day, then it's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen nearly as fast as it should happen because we haven't written it down. So I'm going to give you the opportunity right now. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, open up a notepad app on your phone or your tablet or your computer, and I want you to actually put it in words. What's your goal? What's your goal? One goal. It doesn't have to be a long-term end-of-life goal. It could be, what do I want to accomplish this week? It could be, what do I want to accomplish this year or in my career? But I want you to write down one goal. Now that you have one goal, here's what I want you to do. And I'm going to talk about some ways to help make you more effectively accomplish that goal. First, whatever you wrote down, dig a little deeper. All right. If your goal was to buy a car, okay. What kind of car? Be specific. Tell me what kind of car you want to buy. How much do you want to spend? When do you want to buy it by? You'll notice some of the things that I'm adding into your goal are some details that will make it much easier for you to accomplish that goal. A lot of the things that I've learned in multiple books and with the different classes that I've facilitated myself, we've learned what's called SMART goals, and that's an acronym, SMART. And I want to make sure that that's up on the screen so you can actually see SMART as an acronym. These goals, you need to be very specific. If you're not specific, if your goal is you want to lose weight, well, more power to you. I was there and I understand completely. But not having an amount, it's unlikely that it's going to happen, or it's going to happen, but you're not going to be happy about it because you lost a pound. Well, guess what? You hit your goal. You said lose weight, right? You need to be specific. So if you want a car, which car? What year? How many miles do you want on that car? When do you want to own it by? All of these specifics about exactly what you want. If you want to buy a house, okay, well, how big of a house do you want? What kind of acreage do you want it on? What kind of yard size do you want? What kind of payment do you want? What kind of price range are you looking in? All of those things are specifics. Now, obviously, that can be adjusted and be flexible in the future, but you have to be specific. It just makes it more likely to happen because you don't get surprised when you think deep enough for the specifics. Now it needs to be measurable. It needs to be a measurable goal. If it's actions, if it's behaviors that you're trying to change, well, how can you measure it? Can you see a difference from this day to that day? If it's something that you want to purchase, then that would be your measurement of having the amount of money that you needed to purchase that particular product or a house or a car or whatever the case is, right? But it needs to be a measurable. It can't be some kind of convoluted concept that you cannot measure. That's not, I'm going to be better. How do you measure better? You can't, right? It's much harder to measure, a concept of better. So make sure that whatever your goal is, you find a way that it can be measurable. A, is it achievable? Is this particular goal achievable? Now, what I mean by that and how I look at that when it says, is it achievable, is, has anybody ever done it before? If it's been done before, then it's achievable. Now, that kind of goes hand in hand with the next letter in the SMART acronym. But before I get there, is it achievable with where you're at today, with what you've got going on in your life, with whatever responsibilities and obstacles and other things that you have right now? Is it achievable? Maybe, maybe not. But when you look at whether or not that's achievable, it also allows you to realize, well, I may need to tweak this, I may need to change this, I may need to reprioritize certain situations to make this more achievable. Because if I don't think about that achievability, then I'm going to be blindsided by some things that I didn't take into consideration. So keep that in mind. And then you want to make sure that it's realistic. Realistic, it sounds very similar to being achievable. Achievable, if somebody's done it before, if you're in sales and your goal is 100 and somebody has sold 100 before with honesty and integrity, well then guess what? It's achievable. You can sell 100 with honesty and integrity. But is it realistic for someone that's brand new, has never sold before, to go from selling 5 in a month to selling 100 in a month the very next month? No, that's not realistic. So when we think about being realistic in your goals, you need to make sure that it's realistic for you with the obstacles, with the situation, with where you are in life, with the things that are going on right now. Is it realistic? And if it's not, what can you do to make it realistic? If it's something that you can build up to, well, then you need to break that goal down a little bit smaller. Break it down a little bit smaller, right? Those bite-sized pieces, especially when it comes to goals, make things so much more achievable. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But also, when you think about making it realistic, is it realistic, and this brings up the last letter, is it realistic in the time frame? You need to make sure your goal is time-bound. Is it realistic for you to accomplish in a certain amount of time? If your goal was to lose weight, and you said, Russ, I want to lose 50 pounds. That's awesome. You were specific. You told me exactly how much you want to lose. I love it. What you didn't tell me was when, what kind of time you wanted to do, whether it was realistic for you in that kind of time frame. Is it measurable? When are we going to notice results? And how are we going to break it down? If you told me, Russ, I want to lose 50 pounds, but I want to do it by next week. No, that's not achievable. Not in a healthy way. It's not realistic to be able to accomplish that. You need to break it down in the time frame allowing for yourself. Now here's something that I look at when I think of that T in that SMART acronym when it comes to being time bound, is it's not just the end time. You also need to include your beginning time. Because if I said I wanted to lose 50 pounds and I want to lose 50 pounds by this date next year, well, that's achievable. That's a realistic goal. It's specific, it's measurable. I can measure the 50 pounds as I lose them. But then if I don't start my diet until next March 1st, well, guess what? I'm probably not going to hit the goal, right? I need to have a start date too, not just an end date. So that time bound, I'm going to start on this day and I'm going to end on this day. Right now, those of you that know me, you know that I'm in the middle of a 250-day running challenge. This is a goal I set for myself. I did it once 3 years ago and I decided to do it again. And part of what makes this achievable for me is that it's time bound. Every single day, I do one simple thing. I know when my timing starts when I wake up in the morning, my timing ends when I go to bed at night. I have to do it. But beyond that, all of the measurements that make this achievable for me, part of it is using that SMART goal, but the other piece is breaking it down smaller, right? And I mentioned this as we talked about making it realistic. If it's not realistic, what can you do to make it realistic? Make a smaller goal as a stepping stone to your bigger goal. That 250-day challenge, if you look at the overall challenge, that's 250 miles, minimum 250 miles run this year. Between now and I think it's December 10th is day 250. So if you look at the big goal, I'm gonna run 250 miles. Well, that seems pretty crazy. And the likelihood of the average person who's not a runner and not a runner, the average person running 250 miles, doesn't seem super realistic. Even if I put the time frame 8 months down the road, it still doesn't seem super realistic for the average person who doesn't like to run, who's never been a runner, that's not something I do for fun or enjoyment. It doesn't seem like a realistic goal. But if I take that goal, that big lofty goal of 250 miles, and I break that down and I say, all right, well, what if I only need to run 7 miles in a week? I've got enough time. I'm doing 250 miles in 250 days. Well, that's 7 miles in a week. That's 1 mile in a day. Whatever your goal is, break it down as far as you can break it down. Strip it down to its bare essential. This is what I need to accomplish in the shortest amount of time. That makes it achievable and realistic. Right? Break that big lofty goal down into a daily time frame if possible. Because now I know what I need to do each day, and I need to know what I need to accomplish each week and each month and at the end of the year. And as I go through those processes, I can measure my success rate. I can see and adjust if necessary. Am I on pace? Am I ahead of pace? Am I behind pace and I need to pick things up? What do I need to do to make sure that my end result still gets my goal at the time frame that I expected for myself? So those are some of the things that I think about when I think about goals. You have to write it down. Have it on paper. Not only do I recommend that you write it down, but put it somewhere where you'll see it every single day. Put it on the mirror in your bathroom where you see it when you brush your teeth in the morning every day and you get reminded of that. If you work in the same place, if you have a cubicle, the door that you enter into work every day, something that you will notice every single day. Put it there, tape it up on the wall, frame it somewhere. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you can see it and it's right there in the front of your mind. You're consciously aware of that goal and your commitment to that goal every single day. Right? So write it down, put it someplace you can see it. Make sure that it is a SMART goal. Make sure that it's broken down into its simplest form so that you can move one step at a time and measure your progress as you achieve all of your goals. The most successful people in the world believe in goals. They write them down. They remind themselves every single day of what those goals are, what they need to do to accomplish those goals, and they are driven to accomplish that. Well, now it's time for us to do the same thing, right? So write down your goal. I'd love to hear it. If you're watching on Facebook, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, go ahead and like that down below. Give me that big thumbs up down below. And share this with somebody that you think might actually benefit from this. If you know somebody that's struggling, that's having trouble, and all of their goals seem to be falling through, maybe this will help, just push them in the right direction. Maybe this will give them a little bit of that forward progress they might need. So share it with them, share it on your own page if you'd like to. If you're watching on YouTube, I truly appreciate it. Please subscribe. You have the option to subscribe right up here. And if you'd like any of my other videos, you can check those out right here. I do have one that specifically talks about mindset and how to make sure you're not putting restrictions on yourself. It really goes hand in hand with what we just talked about with videos. So please enjoy that. And until I see you again, be safe, be healthy. God bless.